Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson are going their separate ways. Multiple outlets report
Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin break up after 8 years together.
Dakota Johnson stepped onto the streets of New York City with one striking change. Her engagement ring was gone. After nearly 8 years with Coldplay's Chris Martin, this wasn't just a minor detail. It was a loud, unspoken confirmation that their relationship was officially over. Fans and media immediately buzzed online, dissecting the quiet but powerful statement. Why now? What had pushed Dakota to publicly signal the end? Insiders hinted at deeper emotional strain, suggesting Dakota was deliberately sending a message. Her bare finger wasn't a casual choice. It was a silent protest against years of hidden frustrations. Yet what made Dakota finally snap was something deeper, something no one saw coming. Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin always appeared perfect together, until insiders finally pulled back the curtain. The couple's 13-year age gap, once brushed off as trivial, had silently become a ticking time bomb behind their smiles. Sources close to the stars revealed that Dakota, now in her mid-30s, desperately wanted children and a stable family life. But Chris, already a father from his previous marriage, had firmly closed that chapter. Quiet conversations soon turned into tense confrontations as their dreams for the future collided. These private clashes became emotional battlegrounds, neither star publicly admitted. Friends noted Dakota's growing frustration and Chris's attempts to avoid conflict, creating emotional distance they could no longer ignore. Yet no one realized just how deep the resentment had grown until it exploded in ways they never expected. Even after the breakup news spread like wildfire, Chris Martin made a surprising move. During Coldplay's recent concert, he publicly praised Dakota's new film, a gesture that seemed genuinely supportive, or was it? Fans initially applauded Chris's maturity, assuming it signaled a friendly split. But insiders raised questions. Was Chris's public shout-out authentic, or carefully crafted damage control to preserve his public image? Behind the supportive facade, there were whispers of a calculated move to soften public opinion, even as Dakota quietly grappled with heartbreak. Close friends hinted at a deeper story, a carefully maintained image hiding emotional manipulation. Chris's stage moment might have reassured fans, but privately, it left Dakota feeling more conflicted than ever. What seemed like kindness on the surface could have been another hidden jab in their already strained relationship. Just days after Chris's supportive public gesture, Dakota Johnson took her own decisive step forward. In a blunt, televised interview, Dakota casually dropped a dating bombshell, announcing her new non-negotiable rule. Her future partner simply couldn't be an a-hole. Fans immediately dissected her words. Was this just Dakota being humorous, or was it a veiled shot at Chris Martin himself? Insiders quietly suggested it was a deeply personal jab, reflecting hidden frustrations Dakota had carefully concealed for years. Suddenly, viewers were forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew about their favorite celebrity couple. Social media erupted with theories. Had Dakota subtly exposed Chris's private persona? Or was she simply reclaiming her power after years of emotional compromise? Whatever her intention, Dakota's new boundary revealed cracks in a relationship the public once saw as flawless. But Dakota's words weren't the only revelation shaking the narrative. Soon, another figure emerged, adding even more fuel to the fire. Just when the dust seemed to settle, Gwyneth Paltrow, Chris Martin's ex-wife, stepped forward with an unexpected public statement. She made it clear that, despite the breakup, she intended to stay friends with Dakota. On the surface, it appeared as genuine support, even generosity. But fans couldn't help feeling something else was at play. Behind the scenes, speculation ignited. Was Gwyneth truly being supportive, or was her public pledge subtly strategic, aimed at maintaining control of the narrative around Chris and Dakota's relationship? Could her sudden gesture mask a deeper rivalry or hidden tension that existed quietly beneath their seemingly friendly interactions? Industry insiders whispered cautiously, noting that Gwyneth had always carefully managed her public image. Her sudden public support for Dakota raised unsettling questions about hidden agendas, unresolved past drama, and calculated moves to protect her family's reputation. And just as fans grappled with Gwyneth's complex involvement, the story took another dramatic twist. Even after their breakup was confirmed, Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin baffled fans by appearing together multiple times as if nothing had changed. From cozy dinners in Malibu to joining Coldplay's tour stops in India, their actions seemed completely out of sync with their publicized split. Social media lit up with questions. Were Dakota and Chris secretly trying to patch things up, or was there a more troubling explanation behind these confusing appearances? Insiders revealed a darker reality, suggesting the pressure to maintain appearances was emotionally draining for both stars, trapped in a complicated dance of public image versus private pain. Friends hinted at tense conversations backstage, carefully masked by warm smiles for waiting paparazzi. Behind their unified front was a quiet but exhausting charade, fueled by fears of disappointing fans or inviting public judgment. Yet beneath these carefully staged appearances, their emotional turmoil was about to spiral into something far more troubling. While fans clung to hope and headlines speculated reconciliation, Dakota and Chris were quietly unraveling behind the scenes. The constant need to smile, pose, and perform while their relationship crumbled was taking a toll neither of them could publicly admit. For Dakota, the pressure was suffocating. Sources close to her described moments of emotional exhaustion, nights spent alone, overwhelmed by the weight of carrying a failing relationship in the public eye. She wasn't just dealing with heartbreak, she was battling the unrelenting expectations placed on her to be poised, graceful, and silent. Chris wasn't immune either. Despite his calm stage presence, friends noticed a shift. He grew more distant, more guarded, retreating further into his work as Coldplay's tour intensified. He too was feeling the pressure, not just from the media, but from the image he had to uphold. Together, they had built a brand of love that fans adored. But behind closed doors, that brand became a prison, one where real emotions were buried, and honest conversations were replaced with rehearsed appearances. And still, as everything quietly collapsed around them, most people never saw the warning signs. As the public tried to make sense of the split, a deeper truth came into focus, one that had been hiding in plain sight all along. This wasn't just a breakup, it was the unraveling of two people who had been silently drifting apart for years, too afraid to admit it, too polished to show it. For Dakota, the warning signs were always there, moments when she deferred her own desires, brushed off personal goals, and accepted emotional compromise in exchange for peace. Chris, meanwhile, had grown accustomed to keeping people at a distance, always warm, always kind, but never fully vulnerable. Behind the love songs and red carpets, they were living separate emotional lives. Experts on celebrity relationships weighed in, explaining how couples in the spotlight often fall into performative patterns, maintaining an image instead of nurturing a connection. In Dakota and Chris's case, the pressure to appear perfect may have done more harm than any argument ever could. The breakup wasn't just about age gaps or parenting differences. It was about years of subtle avoidance, emotional disconnection, and the quiet collapse of something that once felt unbreakable. And by the time the world caught on, the damage had already been done. Now that the silence has been broken, the truth about Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson's split feels heavier than anyone expected. It wasn't just the missing ring, it wasn't just a televised jab or a public concert shout-out, and it was the slow erosion of trust, the quiet fading of connection, and the emotional weight of two people forced to prioritize appearances over honesty. Chris continues touring with Coldplay, smiling for crowds, while Dakota moves forward, film premieres and interviews painting the image of strength. But beneath the surface, there's no doubt the wounds are still fresh. Neither has publicly shared the full story, and maybe they never will. Gwyneth Paltrow's odd involvement only adds to the confusion. Was her support genuine, or another layer of image control that this entire relationship seemed built upon? Fans are left with fragments, a missing ring, a cryptic comment, a farewell wrapped in politeness. But those who look closer can see what really happened. This was a slow, emotional unraveling that no red carpet could cover up, and maybe that's the most painful truth of all. For years, they convinced the world everything was perfect, but in the end, perfection was the very thing that tore them apart.